Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Okay, today we're talking about something that's been getting me a little hot underneath the collar for a while now.
Okay.
And I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast before at all. So we're getting into a new topic, and that is my thoughts about the whole idea of manifestation. So manifestation is really big in the coaching space and in sort of the health and wellness, spirituality-ish space. And I have a lot of thoughts about it and I have a lot of opinions. And I basically I'm here to tell you that I don't think it works. Okay.
Ooh.
So yeah. And some of you are not going to like that. And
Hashtag it doesn't work.
we'll get into it. I mean,
Okay.
I understand the law of attraction, and here's the thing. You can manifest all day long. I'm putting it out there to the universe. And I do believe I'm a spiritual person, and I do believe in an afterlife. Maybe some of you don't. I do. I do believe that we have guardian angels. I do believe that I have a guardian angel. You have a guardian angel. I believe that we have spirit guides. I do believe that. I believe in God. I believe all those things. And I do believe that there are souls and spirits on the other side. There's a thin veil between this life and the next. I do think that there are souls and spirits on the other side who are really sort of working and wanting the best for me and best for you and working on our behalf. I do believe that. I do. I don't know if that's the same as manifestation. I mean, I can manifest something all day long. I can do a vision board all day long. But if I don't work my butt off to make it happen, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people out there, especially you see it on social media, who I manifested this. I'm like, all right, well, yeah, you manifested it, but you probably worked your ass off. And now it's happening because you worked for it.
Right.
So that's my take. But I'm gonna give you a little bit of a another take on so I'm gonna take out manifesting, and I'm gonna put in another word for you all to think about if you want to sort of move on over to another lane and think differently about the things that you want to make happen in your life and taking action. Okay. So we're gonna get into that.
So at some point, as we're talking, give us the difference between manifest and goal setting, right? Because I think
they're the opposite. I would think in some ways.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to get into.
Okay.
Okay. And I want to talk about where this comes from, because so I've been, some of it's from former coaches of mine, life coaches, business coaches. Some of this is from just being in the coaching space. And I'm not talking like, listen, I'm a personal development coach, and it is a really amazing field. And the work I do with my clients is, not going to lie, I mean, it's some really great work that they're getting done in their lives. And I think that I know what makes me special is that I've got my mental health background, and I'm still an actively practicing psychotherapist for those who want psychotherapy. I use what I have learned in psychology, and I utilize that with my coaching clients. Like I've said here before, it's not therapy. But people come to me and they say, I don't want therapy with you, blah, 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 Anna, but I love that you have the mental health piece. I can see what it is that they don't say, and I bring it up. And I think that's what makes me stand out from the rest. That's what makes me better than a lot of other people. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to toot my own horn on this one. However, I know a ton of executive and leadership coaches and business coaches who are really fantastic. And they don't talk at all about this manifestation stuff. So this is not the entire coaching field. That's not fair to say that. International Coaching Federation is a legitimate process to go about becoming a coach. They have supervisors. They have to have hours of training. I mean, it's legit. So I'm not talking about the coaching field in general. I never would. In my opinion, I think the manifestation is a lot of hooey. I just do. And I've been watching, so I will watch my reality TV that I watch. I used to watch more of this, but I don't anymore because actually I'm exhausted by these women, the Real Housewives. I find them to be exhausting. I find them it's just so not enjoyable to watch after a day of work, to come home to watch these women be so nasty, like they're in seventh grade again, screaming at each other, like, God, this is toxic. This is the last thing I need. This is what I counsel and coach people to get out of. Why
Right.
am I going to watch it? I do watch The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I used to watch New York because New York women felt like me. And the Beverly Hills women, to a certain degree, feel like me, down to earth, a lot of them, and have real relationships with each other. I think it's relationships. And it wasn't always fighting. A lot of times it's just funny and fun to watch them. And I love fashion and I love all that. There's a new woman on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills who's a money manifester. And I don't think she's a money empowerment coach, which I think is just, I'm sorry. I just like, I cannot believe this. And so many women are watching this show. And this woman, she brags. And that's why she's come to my attention. She's a braggart. She brags and brags and brags about, this is a Chanel bag. This is this. This is that. This is how much money I make a month. And all the other women who, like, you've got Bose, who used to work head of marketing. I forget who it was for. I actually took her course years ago. And Bose is looking at her like, okay, you've never been in corporate America. How are you? You've never. She has a master's in counseling, and I think she's from like the whole evangelical, like the whole money.
Bose is.
No, this Amanda Francis.
Oh.
She's from the world. They think this is what the research I've done. Her background is religion is more evangelical, but what's that Joel Osteen? It's like that money manifestation prophecy. Like there's a whole evangelical world that believes that you making millions is like you're right, or that it comes to you. I don't know. Like it's not, as a Catholic, that is not at all how I was raised. That's not the philosophy. There's just not a thing. It's just not a thing.
Does she have data to back up her claims, or is she just talking?
No, she's on the show. She's talking, and I didn't know about her before. She calls herself like she just brags about herself. She thinks she's just the greatest thing ever. And number one, that's hard for me to watch because I'm Gen X, and we grew up, especially like being conservative Catholic upbringing. It was like, don't get a big head, don't brag about yourself. No one cares, no one cares, no one cares. And that's the world that I come from. And do I think it's great that she is in some ways promoting herself? I do. And I'm not good at that. And you give me a hard time all the time because you always say you're not good at marketing yourself. You're not good at sales. My former business coaches would say the same thing. Like, you suck at this, Anna. Like, and I would say, because it's ingrained in me. I've had to get out of my own like mindset, scarcity mindset about, don't promote yourself, don't brag. And a former business coach said to me, who's a wonderful coach, and she's still a friend of mine. She said to me, Anna, you have to market. And she goes, you're good at what you do. She's like, but if you don't market, nobody knows who you are. She's like, there are people out there waiting to work with you. They're looking for you, but they don't know you exist.
Yeah.
Because you won't market yourself. That hit. So I get that. And I need to work on that. But this is the opposite. This is like almost this narcissism of look at me, I'm so great. Look at my image of me, I'm so great. And I think that there's a lot of hooey there. I'm like, okay, where's the science behind what you're doing, what you're schooling, what you're training? Because I come from academia. I come from empirically studied psychology and therapy. And I use that in my coaching.
Yeah.
And that's what's driven me crazy and there's a lot of talk about, I manifested this. I'm like, okay, all right, let's settle down.
But it sounds like she's talking all about the past, all about results, which she's now kind of bragging about openly, correct?
Because she did it for herself, and it's kind of griftery.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that the coaching industry is coming under a lot of fire right now because you've got a lot of people out there in the social media space who are hating on them. And I do think to myself, all right, wow, okay, you have a lot of time in your hands. You can be here on Threads, which is a part of Instagram, Meta, and on TikTok, and maybe on Instagram, but Threads, I see it, which reminds me of the Twitter. And I've never been on Twitter. I was on it like twice because it's nasty. These people are nasty. And on Threads, they just go, I don't know how you could spend all this time on your phone, like ripping on people, like ripping on Alex Hormozy, ripping on Tony Robbins, ripping on Mel Robbins. Hey, I'm not a Mel Robbins fan. And they say they're all grifters. I think Mel Robbins is, well, I think she's not a licensed mental health person. Gabby Bernstein, like, okay, she's a spirituality coach, but when I listen to them, they talk about what their therapist told them, and they bring it into their podcast, and they bring it into, that's fine. If you want to learn from that, that's fine. I not a fan, because I'm sorry, I tend to go towards the people who are the masters in my original field of psychotherapy and psychology. Those are the people I respect and I go to, the masters. I'm not going to the spirituality coaches. I'm just not. So, but people are on there just, who has the time to go on there and just rip on people?
Many people do.
They just have a lot of time.
No jobs.
And
no
they're hating on
working.
people. And I don't, and you could say I'm doing that right now. Well, maybe I kind of am on the podcast. But there's a whole episode here that I'm going to get into of manifestation. I just don't know who has the time to do that in your day. Like, I don't have enough time to hate on people. I get concerned when people are you were listening to these people, and I don't know. I just think that sometimes they don't really know. Some coaches don't know. They don't know when they're seeing a clinical depression run in front of their face. They don't know. We just did a 2-part episode on chronic anxiety. They don't know when they're seeing somebody who really is dealing with an anxiety. Some coaches really do. And that's a training, their formalized training in the coaching industry, like through like an international coaching federation, where they say you need to have systems set in place for when you think there's something the client is saying to you. This is a coaching client, and you're like, I don't have the training for that. You need to see a therapist. I know coaches who are really good at what they do. They've got a list of therapists that they refer to.
Yeah.
They refer out, because like, I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. That's not what we originally set up. And you're talking about something that I don't know how to treat that. That's an ethical stand-up coach. And there's so many of you out there who are like that. So all that to say, number one, I don't know why people are like sounding off online and ripping on other people. I think that that's not cool. I'm talking about it today because we do need to talk a little bit about manifestation and how it really isn't, it's not science backed.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I kind of can't understand why they're taking the time to rip on somebody. I can kind of see that.
I guess if you have the time.
Well, if you have the time, and also you're talking about an industry that's not required to have any type of certification to be a coach, right? I mean, you don't have to.
And here's the truth. Okay, I'm going to be really, really honest here. Here's the truth. A lot of these therapists who are ripping on really people like Mel Robbins and Jay Shetty, and also non-therapists, the reason why they're sounding off, and Tony Robbins, the reason why they're sounding off about these people is because they don't have the schooling that we have.
Mhm.
So we went through years and years of school, of hard freaking master's degrees, and many of us went on to get our PhDs. And I mean, those are internships. Those are hours of being supervised. It's, you had to sit for your licensing exam. I took a class on the University of Chicago at night for like 2 months. If I didn't take that class, I never would have passed my state boards, because that test was so freaking hard. Thank God I took that class. I mean, I was pregnant, 7 months pregnant, going at night after work and taking this class from 6 to 9 down at U of C. Like we put a lot of time and effort into it. And that was after 2 years working full time, being supervised on clinical cases. So we have all this work that we've done. And then we see people out there making a lot of money. So, and we're like, where's their schooling? And they're also saying a lot of things that are kind of BS. So are therapists jealous? Yeah, a little jealous, I will say. Was I a little jealous of Mel Robbins and how successful she's been? Yeah, because I get compared to her all the time. I was just at a networking event, a women's networking event of influencers in Chicago. And 3 women came up to me and said to me, you know who you remind me of? You're so much like Mel Robbins. I think because we have big personalities and we're outgoing and we have a lot to say. And okay, I take that as a compliment today.
Sure.
And at one point I'm like, oh, geez. Well, because was I a little envious? Yeah, because she makes a crap ton of money. And money comes very hard for many, many, many of us in the therapy and coaching space. It's really, most coaches are not even making $50,000 a year. A lot of therapists are not making $50,000 a year. It's really, really hard to make money. And you see someone like her, who's a motivational speaker, speaking about kind of getting into our lane. It's like our lane, therapy adjacent. And it makes people really upset and envious. I get it. I understand it. I've really worked on that. I've worked on that actually in my own therapy and in my own coaching. Now I wish her well. I mean, good for you. Really good for you. I think, more power to her.
Yeah.
She's doing something right. But that's what a lot of people are getting upset about, and whether we're sounding off, because you can be anonymous. People aren't going to really know who you are. Yes, your name is on there, but they can sound off and get out what's in their head. Kind of like I'm doing right here.
But how does she make most of her money?
Speaking now.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not
engagements.
like
Well, in her book, she's a
okay. None of it is
on the New York
coaching though.
Times.
It's not coaching.
She was coaching. She started out as coach in Boston, the Boston area. So she was coaching 20 years ago. She was individual coaching. Then she was coaching like CEOs and people in leadership in companies.
Yeah.
And then she got a radio show or something, a talk show in Boston, and she grew from there. Hey, I completely applaud that ambition. I applaud that drive. I think the backstory is not really an honest story. Her narrative about, this is someone who did come from money, who was married to someone, I think, who did have money, who's a restaurateur. She talks about the drinking, which is very relatable for people. She talks about how they were in like $750,000 in debt, but she doesn't really say how they got out of it. Okay, there's a question mark. Well, how'd you get out of it? You don't tell that part of the story.
Right.
So, I think that and Jay Shetty too, like talks about living as a monk. I mean, okay, who do I respect? I respect the Buddhist monks. I respect the Catholic monks who they live that life every day. And those are the people that I go to. Those are the people who didn't do it for 3 months. They did it for 3 years, or they did it for 30 years and they're still doing it. Those are the people that I want to learn from. I want to sit at their feet and I want them to talk. I preach all day because I want to learn from you, because they humble me.
That's fair.
But if you find that you say, but Anna, it doesn't mean that this person I can't learn from him. Absolutely, you can. Absolutely. You can learn from all of these people.
Yeah.
I think that what gets concerning is a little bit of the griftery thing, selling your courses. Someone like Amanda Francis, on the show when Bose and Dorit were sitting, and Dorit's going through a terrible divorce, and she talks about really having no finances in place, really not knowing anything about the money that her husband is holding back from her. And Bose said, well, Amanda, you're a finance person, you're a finance coach. And she's like, well, do you have any advice for what she should do? And she just said something like, just think about the woman you want to be. Just think about the strong, like empowered. Just think about your empowerment and how you want to identify. And Drew's going, oh yeah. And Bose is looking at her like going, what? And in her like confessional, it goes like, the math ain't mathin'. Like, what are you talking about, lady? I asked you to give her some advice about finances, and you just said some like hooey woo woo stuff. So I was like totally thinking like Bose was thinking. All that to say, she's really she goes, I manifested all this in my life. Okay. So that's it. I'm done with my rant. Let's get into it. So manifestation, it's not science, but your brain is powerful. So manifestation, like you think it, you believe it. So there's no science behind this, but your brain is a powerful thing. Okay. So if manifestation is your thing, I'm not here to dunk on it. I'm not here to dunk on anyone's spirituality, and I respect that. There's a part of manifestation that I kind of agree with, but I do think you have to put it into action. Okay. So if that's how you feel, I do respect it. I'm just giving you my opinion. All right. That I don't think that people ought to buy into it hook, line, and sinker. All right.
What is this small slice that you do agree with? Just for context. I mean, if you agree with a little bit of it, but mostly not.
I will tell myself that I want something to happen in my life, and I will say I'm manifesting this. Like, I will visualize where I want to be at the end of 2026.
Okay.
And I will write that down, and I write it down. Like, they're basically are my goals.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting this but I will visualize what that looks like, and that's it. And you can't just say it. So I do manifest that. And then I go about 2026 making it happen.
Okay.
So I'm going to work my butt off to make it happen.
Versus
always having the visual in my mind that and so in 2026, December, when it happens, I will say, I manifested this. Well, yeah, I manifested it, but Anna, you worked your butt off.
Right. versus the opposite is the person that tries to manifest something and they have the vision and then they just hope
You
one
can't
day
sit back on your laurels. You can't
you
sit
hope
back.
one day it
It's going to
happens
happen,
and
right?
there's no effort, there's
Right.
no planning, there's no execution, none of that stuff goes down for them. Interesting. Okay.
So I'm not here to dunk on your spirituality if that's what it is for you, but I am here to separate your comforting beliefs from evidence-based change, okay? Because a lot of manifestation content right now is basically what you just said. I think it, I feel it, now I'm receiving it. And if you didn't get what you thought and you felt and you received, then basically you didn't believe hard enough. And that's what happens to people because I've seen this in my practice, in my coaching practice. You didn't believe it hard enough, Anna. You didn't believe it hard enough, Sue or Joe. That's not empowerment for people. That's just a shame loop with a vision board.
Right.
That doesn't feel empowering. It's a shame loop with a vision board. And there are people out there who are teaching this who are making money off of you. That's what I have a hard time with. You're taking people's hard-earned money who are making $20 and $30 an hour because they want something better for themselves, and it didn't happen. That gets my goat, and that ruffles my feathers because a lot. Don't even. I mean, I could just rant because I had this happen to me.
Is that person do they just have a cloudy view? Like, would you not want to ask for evidence that this person has actually made?
Well, those are the questions you need to ask when you go to hire a coach.
Yeah.
And if you are hiring some sort of money coach or empowerment coach, you better do your research, and you better do your research before you buy a course that they have on their website, or their group coaching. You better do your research on them. Okay. And I always say this all the time: vet your coaches, vet your therapists, vet these people. Not every therapist who's got all the credentials in the world and all the, LCSW, PhD, PsyD, all the coaching certs, the board certified coach, a board certified this. You better vet them because they can have all that. But first of all, the personality may not be a fit for you. They may be someone who talks too much. They don't talk enough. You just know it. You know it when you feel it. And you also know when someone's not a fit for you. Okay. So that is really, really important. But you also better do your homework when it comes to what exactly are you getting? What are you going to get when this course is over? What are you going to get when this group coaching course is over? What am I going to get from Anna when we're done, when I'm starting to finish up my one-on-one coaching with her? What am I getting from her? Okay.
Yeah. And I would want to hear, like, what did someone else get? Right.
Well, you can read testimonials, and I give, and I've got testimonials. Mine are not updated. I need to update them on my website. But I give people. I have coaching clients and therapy clients who will talk to you. You can call them, and they will talk to you, and they'll tell you how I was as a coach. They'll tell you how I was as a therapist. That, I think, is the best thing ever.
Well,
that's hard to get with some of the bigger names.
Exactly, but I think that's amazing advice. Like, if you're the person that's going to go out and look for this.
You want references.
1,000%.
When I was interviewing for triathlon coaches, and I asked for references, they gave me names, and I called them, and they talked to me, and it actually helped me make a decision. I asked them really good questions, and I got the information I needed. And that's why I remember the last 3 that I interviewed, and I went with the third person. And she came and she met me for coffee. She was more of a local person. So some of them, I'll get on a Zoom with people. I'll get on a discovery call. I'll get on a Zoom call. And if you're local, I'll meet you for coffee, or I'll meet you for whatever, lunch, breakfast, and we can talk and see if I'm the right fit for you. If not, great. If so, then maybe I made a new acquaintance, friend, and we had lunch together. Okay.
I think the word reference, I mean, it's now in 2026, we have to be careful in a business setting. Like when you fill out your application, right? You're trying to get a job and you put references down. There's limitations. You're in a box in terms of what you're allowed to ask. Right.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to be really careful. Yeah. You got to be really PC. You got to there's things where you just can't go
be
there.
Politically correct.
So I think that gives the reference in that world kind of like, it minimizes the effect of it. But what you're saying and what you're talking about is like somebody that's gone through your program or your coaching experience, one-on-one, whatever it might be. And they're actually able to tell you like some real life feedback about what they got. That's huge.
I ask everybody, can I use you as a reference? Everybody says yes.
Yeah.
So I'll toot my own horn on that. Yeah. Because I'm good at what I do. Okay. So so if something didn't happen for you and you manifested it, that first of all, that totally disempowers you. And it can feel like many people like the shame loop, which it always breaks my heart to see people who've gone through this. Okay. So here's a line that I'm drawing today for all of you. Okay. If you're manifesting something, if you're using manifestation as a metaphor for like focus and intention and then action in your life, fine. Okay. So I'm not going to knock that. But if you're selling it as a law of the universe with no mechanism in place, no evidence, and a little bit of a side of blame, we got to talk. Okay. And yes, the law of attraction, everybody, the law of attraction world is widely criticized as pseudoscience. All right. I know it's going to ruffle some of your feathers because many of you have read The Secret and you love The Secret, but it is considered pseudoscience. All right. Like I just said, I believe in it a little bit, but not a lot. I give it like 10%. Okay. So today I'm giving you the science-backed version of manifesting. All right. And that actually changes lives. I know it because I use it and I see it with my clients. All right. It's called cognitive restructuring and WOOP. I'm going to get into what WOOP is, WOOP. So we're using cognitive restructuring. We're using YOOP, and we're doing imagery done right though. Okay. We're going to do imagery done right and behavioral reps. You got to put the reps in. All right. So I'm taking you away from manifestation, putting you into cognitive restructuring, WOOP, imagery, visualization done right, and the behavioral reps. Okay. So let's define manifestation. There's 3 actual definitions of it. All right. So people use manifestation. It actually really means 3 different things. So number 1, there's the metaphysical claim, which is the one that sometimes, a lot of times, I have a hard time with. So it's like, it's okay. So it's me saying my thoughts and my energy attract outcomes for the universe. That's the law of attraction. That's a law of attraction flavor. All right.
Okay.
And it's heavily criticized for lacking scientific support and for promoting self-blame when reality doesn't cooperate with your thoughts and your beliefs and your visions. Okay. That's metaphysical claim.
So the person that believes this, that's the out. The out is you didn't try hard enough. You didn't believe hard enough. You didn't believe enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the out for them.
I found when I've been around these individuals, I found first of all, they don't really want to hear that when they've had people, and this is more going back to the Clubhouse days and during COVID, and I was in these rooms. I was a little bit of a voyeur because I wanted to see how the manifesting experts on stage were talking to the people they pulled up on stage who were asking questions. They didn't know what to say to that. And they'd be like, well, you got to manifest harder. I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. I mean, these are people who are very vulnerable right now and really struggling with different things that are happening or not happening for them in their lives. And you're telling them to manifest harder and I don't know. That was hard to watch. Okay. So that's the metaphysical claim. Let's go into the next one. The next one is a psychological reality. All right. So you may say something like, what I focus on, I notice more and I behave differently. So what I focus on right now in my life, I'm noticing it more because I'm focusing on it. And I behave differently for the positive or the negative, right? That's not magic. That's not a magical thing. These are mechanisms. This is your attention. It's your expectations about yourself. It's your confidence and it's your persistence. That's psychological reality. The next one is the behavioral truth. Okay. So you say, I got clear about something in my life. I made a plan. I regulated my nervous system and then I did the reps. That's the unsexy version of manifestation. That's the work that you did. It's so unsexy. It's sexy to talk about manifestation.
And it's actually the one that does work.
It's what works. Yes, it's the unsexy version, but it's the one that works, right? So I'm not about any of us anti-dreaming. I'm all about dreaming, because manifesting in some ways is your dreams. I'm not going to take away your dreams. I want to hear your dreams. I want you to have these dreams, right? I'm anti-dreaming as a substitute for your training. So I'm anti-dreaming. It cannot dream, but then you got to train it. Okay. I think you all know me well enough by now to know I'm going to say that to you. Okay. So here's the positive thinking trap. All right. This toxic positivity that drives me crazy. Here's the study backed spicy take that I have on this. All right. Pure positive fantasizing can actually reduce your effort. And this is what we see. There's science behind this. So there's research shows that when people actually indulge in these idealized, like positive fantasies about a desired future, it can be de-energizing, right? It's just if your brain goes, okay, good. We've already lived it and we don't have to do it because the urgency drops. It's
Yeah.
like the mind is listening to you.
Well,
Like,
it's
oh, we already dreamed it. We already believed in it. Well, we're not going to do it anymore. We're not going to do anything about it.
yeah.
Right.
Well, that's kind of the nature of what you just said. I mean, you're encouraging to do nothing, right?
Or just sit
You
and
don't
wait
need
for
to.
manifestation to occur. So
Right.
that doesn't mean be negative. It means don't skip the part where you face the obstacle. Don't skip that part. You got to face the obstacle of what it is you're believing and you're dreaming and you're manifesting for yourself. Okay. So hope without a plan, it's not hope. It's just self-soothing.
Hope without a plan
Isn't hope.
is not hope.
It's hope. Like
Yeah.
I've said this before in the podcast. It was mentioned in that F1 movie. I remember Brad Pitt's character said, "Hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy, people.
Right.
It's not. I hope. I do hope. I hope I have on my desk. I have a cute little heart that my daughter gave me. That's a cute little pink stone heart. It says hope. Yes, we hope. It's a part of our faith too.
Right.
Faith, hope, and love. You hope, but you have to have a strategy for that hope.
Right.
Okay. So what is backed? What is backed by research? What has empirical evidence? Not manifestation. It's called cognitive restructuring. Okay. So let's start with one of the most useful skills in modern psychology today. Comes from the world of cognitive behavioral therapy. It's called cognitive restructuring. All right. And so in plain English, what is it? It's a technique that we use in cognitive behavioral therapy to identify our self-defeating beliefs. It helps us challenge our distortions and replaces them with more accurate, workable thoughts. Okay. And yes, this is where a lot of air quote manifestation influencers are sort of accidentally doing cognitive behavioral therapy. They just don't call it that. That's what drives me crazy. When I first knew about manifestation, I was first listening to, these coaches talking about manifesting. I'm like, wait a minute. That's cognitive behavioral therapy. You're just using another term. Okay. So
is that intentional? Are they aware of?
Sometimes it's intentional. Yeah. Sometimes they don't want to use the psychology term. Sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes it's not. They don't really know cognitive behavioral therapy. They've never learned it. They learned it in like a pseudoscience manifestation world.
Okay.
But me listening to it as a cognitive behavioral therapist, I'm like, that's CBT. That's CBT. That was when I first was introduced to this whole coaching manifestation world many, many years ago. I'm like, oh, that's why therapists get crazy about some of these coaches.
Yeah. Well,
because they call it like their method, their way of this is my signature method. And I have an emotional mastery method. I have a method I call emotional mastery method, but mine is backed by science. Theirs is not backed by science. And it drives me crazy because you think they're wanting you to think they're a thought leader.
Yeah.
And they're not a thought leader. They've taken something that's already out there and they've regurgitated it. Like, listen, a lot of people are doing that. I consider myself a thought leader. I'm taking something and I'm putting it in a way that works for what I know works for people, what has worked for my clients, years and years and years of doing this. Some individuals are taking something that they know something about, but they haven't really studied it for years and years. And they're putting like a woo-woo spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, for this episode today, we're talking about the term manifestation.
Right.
And they're calling it their method, like they created it. No, you didn't create it. You actually borrow from the world of psychology. And I know I get crazy about it. And I've had people in my life who are like, Anna, calm down about this. Like, no one really cares. My former business coach is my friend. She's like, Anna, people don't really care. I'm like, well, that's fine if you don't really care. And if you're getting something out of it, more power to you. But I want to eke out the differences here because I do think that cognitive restructuring is really the way to go. If you want the best, if you want evidence-backed coaching and evidence-backed therapy, go towards CBT or specifically cognitive restructuring rather than manifestation. Sorry, I'm going to say that. All right.
And I think why a person in your seat would bristle at this right, is
Because
because
it's griftery.
well, okay. And also like what was your undergrad degree in?
Me?
Yeah.
Bachelor of Science in Social Work and Psychology.
Okay. What was your master's degree in?
Social work.
And then what did you do?
I went to one of the best clinical programs in the country. It was a clinical social work. I have to say this because there's different types of social programs. Some are more policy oriented, some are more macro oriented,
Yeah.
social justice. Mine was clinical to go into, for me, private practice. I went there to Loyola specifically for that reason.
Okay. And then what'd you do after that? You got your license? No?
After 2 years working full time, I sat for my license, and then you have to get 30 CEUs every 2 years. So
Continue on.
I'm always going. I just was at a conference on EMDR. I'm not an EMDR trained therapist. I never wanted to do that because that's a lot of hours and a lot of money.
Yeah.
I never needed to do it. I'm a trauma specialist. I'm trained in prolonged exposure. I'm trained in all different types of treatment modalities. I'm not trained in EMDR, but I have to get my CEUs. So I'm acceptance and commitment therapy. I'm certified in that. I'm certified dialectical behavioral therapist, cognitive behavioral therapy. I went through levels of John Gottman therapy for couples therapy. I mean, you have to get your continuing education. So you're always going to school, or
Right.
going to conferences, or having to. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a pain in the butt, but I have to say I appreciate it.
All right. So you've just
Long answer.
It's okay. So you've bottled for us the time component, right? You've invested a lot of time and a lot of money,
Yeah.
but a lot of time, 10 years plus all the continuing ed that's added up over 30. I mean, it's like there's years and years and years that you put in to get the letters behind your name, the experience, all the things, right? On the other side of the teeter-totter, you have this coach who doesn't need to be certified in anything.
Not at this point. You
Not
don't.
at this point.
It's an unregulated industry.
But it's not balancing that teeter-totter at all. It's not even close, that leads me to believe I can understand why you would bristle so much because of all the time and effort you put in, all the education you put yourself through, all the hours of
with the caveat that I have a lot of friends who are coaches and they're really, really good at what they do, but they don't touch mental health. And they don't, as soon as they see something with mental health coming up, they refer to someone like me, or they'll refer to a therapist.
Some do.
They don't touch it. There are therapists who do touch it. And we're going to talk about
coaches.
this. I'm going to do another episode on
there
this.
There are coaches who touch it, is what you meant to say.
I'm sorry. There's coaches who touch it, like armchair therapists. We're going to do an episode on it because that's another bee in my bonnet. I mean, there are people who are trauma coaches.
Sure.
You have no business touching it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trained in trauma, and I have supervised people these are all grad school people who have their PhD and went on for 5 years at PhDs or PsyDs, and they're coming to me. I'm supervising them in trauma, and they have a trauma client, and they're nervous, and they're like, oh my gosh. And because they still feel like, I don't know enough, because we understand the more that you know, the more you realize you don't know. And they walk gingerly around these clients who are coming to them for trauma, because you have to treat them with kid gloves, especially in the beginning, depending on the trauma, of course.
Yeah.
I'm talking about big T trauma. I'm talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. And then you've got people who are like, I'm a trauma coach. I'm like, what's your schooling?
Yeah.
You came from the sales world, the business world, and because you successfully dealt with your trauma, and you have a bad trauma, and you successfully were in your own therapy, and maybe you got some coaching around it. Now you're calling yourself a trauma coach? No.
Right.
No. I say run, don't walk to the nearest exit.
Right. And so you've now gone full circle, just because I think that makes it clear to the listener, like the person that's like leaning and embracing into manifestation is not the therapist. It's not the person that's gone through 10,
You're not going to hear a lot of therapists talk about
You're not.
No,
exactly
you're not.
right.
No. Okay. So we got to go on because we're really going off on tangents here. So, so a lot of people who are, like I said, a lot of coaches are using CBT, but they're calling it manifestation. Okay. So here's the tool I want you to borrow from me right now. Okay. So the facts. What are the facts? What do I actually know? All right. What do I actually know? Here's a story for you. What is my brain insisting this means? All right. So the facts. What do I actually know? What's the story? What is my brain insisting this means? And the next step. What action would serve me, even if the story in my mind is loud? What next step or what action would serve me, even if a story in my mind is loud. All right. So I'll give you an example. Let's take somebody with a relationship issue. So here are the facts. Here's a fact for you. He hasn't texted me back. Okay. That's a fact. He has not texted me back. Here's a story. He doesn't want me. He doesn't want to have a relationship with me. I'm being rejected right now. I'm being rejected. What's the next step? One clean follow-up. All right. Then I move on. One clean follow-up, then I move on. I'm going to give one clean follow-up. I'm going to follow up with another text. I don't get anything from that. I'm moving on. All right. Here's another example. Let's use our career. Here's a fact. My boss texted me or sent me an email that said, let's talk. Oh, geez. What's the story I'm telling myself? I'm getting fired. We talked about this, I think, last week. I'm getting fired. I am getting fired. Oh my God. I'm getting fired. I'm freaking out. What's the next step? I want you to prepare 3 bullet updates and 1 question. 3 bullet updates and 1 question. And then you're going to show up regulated to the meeting. All right. So you can prepare 3 bullet updates about what's happening in your work right now. I want you to prepare 1 question, and I want you to show up regulated because you have no idea what let's talk means. Your mind reading, we consider that a thought distortion. This is cognitive restructuring I'm doing with you right now. You thinking you're getting fired, you're also this is another thought distortion. Your mind reading and you catastrophizing. And your personalization, here's another one. You're personalizing. You don't mind read, don't personalize, and stop catastrophizing about that. You have no idea what your boss means when he or she or they are saying to you, let's talk, okay? Prepare 3 bullet updates about what's going on in your work right now. I want you to prepare a question for them. That's a really good one. And then then you're going to show up regulated. I'm good.
What do you mean by 3 updates? I don't want to use the word.
Because you're thinking that I'm getting fired.
Yeah.
Your knee-jerk reaction was, oh my God, I'm getting fired. No. What are 3 updates about what's happening in your work right now?
Are you sort of like justifying your space? Is that what you're suggesting? Okay. All right.
Justifying your work, what's happening right now in your space and your work.
And your effort.
Okay. Right. And maybe your attitude. And you have a question for them.
Okay.
I think I know it flips the script for you, and it's empowering. There's your empowerment, everybody. There's your empowerment. That's truly manifestation.
Yeah.
But you're doing the mental work before you go into that meeting with your boss. You're doing the mental work before you text back to this guy or this gal you were dating.
Yeah.
And they don't get back to you, done, move on. Now you might need some support around that, some help around that. That's what your coach is for.
Yeah. In the employment example, I mean, it's almost like you are taking the time to write your version of the meeting agenda.
Yeah, exactly.
In advance of going there, right?
So empowering.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So here are your power moves. All right. And you can write these down. My thoughts are not the court of law. I love that. Because our thoughts are not always our friend. My thoughts are not a court of law. Feelings are data, not directives. Remember, your feelings are data. They're not directives. I think all of us could use that sentence, myself included. I'm not allergic to uncertainty. I'm just out of practice. I'm not allergic to uncertainty. And there's so much uncertainty in life, right? I'm just out of practice with this, okay? There you go. So use those 3 sentences and rewind this back and listen to it again if you need to, all right? So here's the science twin of manifestation. It's WHOOP. I said I would talk about this with all of you, okay? So WHOOP. It's the mental contrasting and the if-then plan, all right? So if you want the closest thing to manifestation that has real research muscles behind it, this is it, okay? Mental contrasting plus implementation intentions, all right? And this is the if-then plan. And I use this all the time when I was getting for my races, all the time. If this happens, then I will do this. If this happens, I will do this. Actually, I had to write it down and send it to my coach. Okay, so you can utilize this anywhere in your life, all right? So implementation intentions are, like I just said, if X happens, I will do Y, all right? Spelling out the when, how, the when, where, and how you will act. All right. So a major meta-analysis study found that found a medium to large effect for people. Okay. So I don't know if y'all really care about this part, but there is science behind it. There's science behind this on goal attainment. It's a pretty big effect. Okay. So what is WOOP? WOOP, WOOP. It's wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. All right. And if you want more information about this, go Google it, go put it into AI, and you're going to get a lot more on this. WOOP, wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. All right. So wish. Here's your wish. I want to stop spiraling at night before I go to bed. The outcome, I'm going to fall asleep faster and I'm going to feel calmer. What's the obstacle to this? My brain starts solving my entire life at 3 o'clock in the morning. Right. The plan, if I start spiraling then I'm going to write tomorrow's top 3 and put my phone in the kitchen. All right. If I start spiraling, I'm going to write down my top 3 issues that I'm having right now. And then I'm going to take my phone, I'm going to put it in the kitchen, I'm going to put it in the bathroom. Okay. Okay. Most people don't fail because they didn't, air quote, manifest hard enough. Most people fail because they didn't plan for the obstacles they already know are going to show up in their life.
What's that phrase? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Right.
Right? Isn't that how it goes?
I don't know that one.
I think that's how it goes. If you fail to plan to fail.
Okay. So WOOP. Yeah. So WOOP. Wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. Go take some time outside of this, write that down and do it for yourself. Write your wish, write your outcome, write the obstacle to it, and then your plan. So if this happens, like I remember this all the time because I would always have to tell my coaches, if there was going to be an obstacle, the wish is to have a great bike race and to finish within, and you have to really dial it down. Like I wanted to finish within a certain amount of time just for the bike leg of a triathlon. And then, so if this happens, and it was always for me, if I get a flat tire, it was really nothing else. It was always if I get a flat tire, then, and I started saying, because I knew that I could not get off my bike and fix a flat tire because I wasn't good at it, even when I would practice with you or on training rides. If I get a flat tire, then I'm going to do not finish. I'm going to DNF. And I fully accepted and was okay with that. So the outcome would be, I'm not going to finish that race. I would just be out. I would freak out and worry if that was going to be a half Ironman because that was a distance I really did care about. That's why I did want to know how to change my tire. And that's why we carry all the equipment on our bikes with us. And the outcome would be, for a half Ironman, it would be I would change the tire and I would pray to God that a support van would come by and help me change a tire. And then I would just finish the race. But I knew that I would be off the podium. I would be out of contention for the podium in all the half Ironmans and sometimes in the Olympic distances where time is of the essence. Okay. So that for me, that wasn't really a big win, but the fact that I mentally prepared, I did WOOP ahead of time and I mentally prepared for it allowed me to radically accept that I may not be in the podium if I had a flat tire. Thank God, knock on wood, I never had a flat tire in any race in 20 years. Thank God, right?
Right.
But I did accept that I would not be doing very well.
And it could have happened. I mean, we've had flat tires.
We see it happen all the time to people. And I feel sorry.
Yeah.
I would feel sorry for women who had flat tires who were over on the side of the road on a backcountry road fixing their tire. And we're all racing, so nobody would stop. And I would just like say a prayer that the support van would find them and come by because those people would get off and that you could accept help. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't accept help from another triathlete. I don't think you can help each other. You get a yellow card. I don't think you can stop and help somebody. I forget the rules about that. But I would just pray that the van would come by and help them change their tire because then you wouldn't get a yellow card for that. You wouldn't get in trouble.
Right.
You can't accept help from other people in a race.
I think you can.
You can
toss a
USA
tire iron
triathlon
to somebody.
Right, USA triathlon, you cannot accept help from another person.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on. All right, so here's imagery that I think has some real weight. Okay, this is the real version of imagery. Okay, this is not just your wishful thinking. So imagery, it can be useful or visualization. So especially in, like I just said, in sport and performance contests, because I use visualization all the time once I got trained in this. All right, so when it's rehearsal, not fantasy. So I would rehearse, I said this before in episodes, I would rehearse in my mind, visualize every leg of that race. Even better if you and I could drive the course. If we could swim in the lake, swim in the water where the swim was, at least go to the lake or the pond or wherever the ocean and look to see where the course was. Even better. We would drive the bike course if we could. We almost always could do that. And we could drive or walk. We couldn't do the whole run, but you knew where the course was, or you at least studied the map. So you knew where the hills were. You knew where there was shade. You knew where there's no shade. You knew where the sun would be. You knew the weather. You knew where the temperature would be. You knew the sun was beating down on your back. You knew all those things. So that was visualization when I would go through what it was going to be like for me in a race. Okay. That was rehearsal, not fantasy. All right. So mental practice. The motor imagery research shows benefits, and newer reviews continue to support imagery practice, improving performance in athletes. Really, really big. And performance, not just in athletes, and in all of us who are training for something. Maybe you're training for a relationship. Maybe you're training for a big event. Maybe it's your wedding. Maybe it's getting up on stage. Okay, so you take this as, and I talked about specifically for athletes, but take this and apply this in your life. Visualization or imagery really does work. Okay. So here's the distinction. Outcome imagery. I see myself winning. I see myself winning. Okay. That feels really good, but that's it. Falls short. That's just like, that's like outcome imagery. No. We're not doing outcome imagery. Your listener or watching this podcast, we're not doing that. All of us people. Okay. We're doing process or coping imagery. That's what we're doing. That's what sets us apart. We're doing process imagery, all of us. I see the hard moment and I'm going to rehearse the response. I see the hard moment of getting that flat tire. I see the hard moment where I have knee pain on the run. I see the hard moment where I totally forget where I am in my talk, and I'm going to rehearse the response. That's your superpower. That's you training yourself, okay? Really, really important. Okay, so here's your power move. You need to rehearse the hardest 30 seconds. Rehearse it. Rehearse it. You forgot what you were going to say in that meeting. You forgot what you were going to say with your boss. Rehearse it. Say it. Rehearse that you forgot.
Yeah.
Rehearse that you're nervous, okay? That's really important. The hardest 30 seconds, I want you to rehearse it, okay? So see the trigger, feel that urge, and do the behavior anyway. Do it anyway. Do the hard stuff, all right?
I'm thinking of different scenarios that fall into this, right? I mean, one could be like, you're going to give a presentation, right?
Yeah.
You're naturally going to rehearse it, right? Again and again and again to make sure you got it down, and all the things that you might trip up on or might forget something. You want to make sure that you're like, okay, red flag it, red flag it, red flag it.
Right.
And then in addition to that, what you're also describing is like, well, what if, right? Well, what if something happens with my presentation? Have
What
a
if
backup.
then?
Yeah.
What if then? So that's right. That's whoop.
Yeah, I'm going to have a
I'm sorry.
backup.
That's a visualization imagery.
Yeah.
Right.
So I have a backup, maybe I have an extra thumb drive, right? That's got everything on it just in case. Maybe I bring my electrical charging cord just in case my computer battery
What
dies.
Tim is saying is really important, everybody. All of that.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah. One thing I do with my guys, my triathletes, when we get into open water swimming in the summer is we'll talk about like what happens when your goggles get kicked off your face.
Oh, geez.
And you're in 15 feet of water.
Yes.
Right. So what do? Well, let's practice it now.
Yes.
In 6 feet of water.
Yep.
In a calm setting, so you can train yourself. How do you float on your back for a second? Get control of yourself, relax, get your goggles, put them back on your face, flip over, and start to swim.
Where you have to go vertical, you're no longer horizontal swimming because someone just kicked the goggles off your face and they're filling with water, or you're just getting water in your goggles. Now you have to go vertical and tread water, and there's people swimming all around you and they're smacking you because they don't see you and they're actually annoyed. I've had people swear at me, get out of the way. Especially the men. The men are the worst. Women don't do that. Sorry. Just going to say it. Well, especially like, Probably right. Like, get out of the way. You're swearing at you. I'm like, all right, you're expending energy on being angry right now. Why don't you put your face back in the water and swim forward?
Yeah.
And stop. Because you are expending energy being frustrated, but you have to practice that. Yes, practice all the things. Practice forgetting what you're going to say. Practice like, oh, shoot. And when I've gone to talks and, even like networking events where people are talking, like, oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Me being in the audience or sitting in the conference room listening, I'm not judging that person. Like I'm like, I actually throw grace. I think most of us do, like, oh geez, like they forgot. And someone will make a joke, or they'll make a joke out of it, or they'll be like, I forgot what I was gonna say. Well, anyway, like, oh yeah, now I remember. And because most times you remember. That for you, who's standing in front of other people, you're like freaking out. Remember, the people in the audience, or sitting in the conference room, or sitting in the private room, and in the breakfast house, the
Yeah.
pancake house. No one's criticizing you the way you are with yourself.
True.
Really, really important to
Quite
remember.
honestly, the opposite is probably true. They're probably rooting for
They're
you to
rooting
like
for you.
right the ship, right? Like,
Yeah.
come on, you got this.
Okay. So let's wrap this up, because we're almost an hour in. So here's my replacement for manifestation. You know what I think about manifestation, and I'm gonna give you my evidence-based replacement for manifestation. There's 5. Okay. Number 1, do the cognitive restructuring. I want you to challenge a story. Number 2, whoop, wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. Number 3, you're gonna do if-then planning. If this happens, then I will do this. All right. You're gonna close the intention action gap. Okay. If then. Number 4, process imagery. That's your superpower. Okay. Rehearse the rep that you are avoiding. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. And number 5, 1 rep in 24 hours. Behavior is the receipt. All right. So I want you to do this. Pick one goal that you've been manifesting, just one. All right. Write the obstacle that you've been skipping about that thing you're manifesting. Write the obstacle to it. I want you to create one if then plan. All right. Just create one around that one obstacle that you've been skipping. Do 1 rep for it in the next 24 hours. Do one thing that's going to get you towards what it is that is your goal, or your air quote manifestation. Okay. Because the universe, it's not Amazon Prime. It's not like I just like I'm manifesting and it's going to be here in 24 hours or 48 hours. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, right. That's not how the world works. And that's just not how it works. Your nervous system is trainable. And that's the better news. Rather than manifestation, I want you to work on your nervous system. You can train it and you can get better. Okay, everybody?
Okay.
All right. Thank you for listening to my rant on manifestation. As always, thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. And one final note, and for those of you who are still listening an hour later, we just hit top 1.5% podcast in the world. And that's not in the mental health or wellness or coaching category. That's global, just global wide hit 1.5% in the rankings. And I want to thank all of you for listening, subscribing, downloading, sharing this, or it makes all the difference in the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Mad love. Until next week.